for people to talk about their adaptable music. I want to begin by introducing my colleagues from CRI who are with us today. And I think I know all that are here, but if for some reason I drop the ball, just say, hey, wait, I'm here too. First, we have Stephen Bryant joining us from Austria. Hey, Steve. And Pete Meekin from up in Winnipeg. And Frank Tekelly's here. And John Mackey is here. And Alex Shapiro is here. And I think, is that it? That's all I can see on this page. Let me go to our next page. Have I missed anybody? Any of my CRI colleagues?
Mike Doherty is going to be joining us because he's presenting.
Yeah, but I don't see Michael yet.
You know Mike, he'll be here.
Okay.
After I text him.
Thanks for doing
that. Oh, I hear him. Did I hear you, Mike?
No. I think so. Yeah, he'll get here. He's got plenty of time. Okay, so just very quickly, everyone, I want to start with an explanation of what adaptable music is, because a lot of people have been asking this. So what we posted something on our webpage, but I have it here too, and I certainly won't read to you, but let me just put it up on the screen if you want to take a peek at this. This is a term that we coined, I think, in CRI, adaptable music, and it's an umbrella term that has lots of subcategories, one of which is flex music. A lot of people are writing things that aren't flex pieces. In fact, people are writing things that are full flex pieces that are completely flexible. So we didn't want to call it flex music because that's a pretty narrow definition. So I'll just leave that up there for 30 seconds for people to take a peek at. This is what adaptable music is. Okay, hopefully that gave you enough time to read it. If it didn't, it's on our Facebook page, in our Facebook group, and will also be on our website shortly. So that's just a quick explanation of what we mean by adaptable music and why we're really trying to get that word into the vernacular as an umbrella term that's wider than flex music itself. All right, excellent. So we're going to have the first of our 10 presentations here. This is Brad Carman, and I'm going to ask Brad to go ahead and unmute himself. And Brad, the floor is yours. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. It's really nice to be here to talk about Schnibbles. Schnibbles is by your definition, a fully flexible duet book, and it's geared specifically for first and second year students, but could be used with students that have a little bit more experience. So what I'm going to do is in the chat, I'm going to share my email address. If you want to find out more about this after I'm done, it's carmen.music. Check the spelling on that. A lot of people get that one wrong. I'm also going to include the file that I'm going to show you today, which is the trumpet part. And the trumpet part is a good example of all of it. It actually started out as a trumpet duet book, and then I adapted it to coordinate with all the other instruments in band. The file we're using is here. And what I'm going to do is show you the inside of the book while I talk about it a little bit. This is also the link to, if you see this and it lights you on fire and you want to purchase the entire set, the link to purchase is right here. Okay. So the book is 101 easy practice duets for band, and it can be any of the band instruments. This is the trumpet version of the book, but they're all pretty much the same, adapted for each instrument. 2-part etudes for the development of skill, awareness, and confidence. You could think of this as like an introductory chamber music method book or workbook or activity book. A good complement to a method book that teaches teaches more of the fundamentals of the instruments and things like that. I'm just going to scroll through this as I read. I'm going to read what's in this box, but I'm just going to keep scrolling, and I'll pause in some spots so you can read what's there. Some indications for beginners, intermediate players, advanced players, and an indication to have fun. It's possible to have fun and be serious at the same time, never be afraid to laugh. So that's kind of the tone of the book, and there's the first one to give you an idea. The word schnibble is a term that means a little piece of something little that can be tinkered or fiddled with or eventually built upon. So if you are looking for adaptable music, this is kind of the idea. Not only is it flexible, but the idea is that you can tinker with it in a lot of different ways to explore. The collection of duets sets out to expose young players to a broad range of musical situations and challenges, but without pushing beyond what most first and second year players can manage, with some practice and a little guidance. These duets are very short and focused, with limited range and rhythms that do not extend beyond eighth note subdivision. Care has been taken to approach contrary motion and independent rhythms in a way that builds skill, awareness, and confidence by developing the ear. There are challenges, but most will be easily overcome. I'm just stopping on random pages here so you can get a sense of what's in there. Designed for maximum accessibility, the collection does introduce many intermediate concepts such as 3/8 time, 5/4 time, syncopation, jazzy rhythms, whole tone harmony, etc., but in a way a beginner can digest them. So students are encouraged to also begin thinking beyond what's presented in the ink and experimenting with articulations, dynamics, tempo to create their own musical interpretations. And let's find you another page here. There's a blues. My hope is that students and their teachers will find the collection to be a practical tool that can be used to reinforce basic skills and musical concepts, but also an entertaining way for students to build confidence and expand their musical horizons. Feel free to play through the collection in order or skip around as desired to coordinate with a band method, learning sequence, or simply to explore. All the books are compatible with one another for use in a full band setting, or friends can pair up regardless of their instrument. And that is what's written on that second page up there. That's the gist of it. And as you can see, there's a teacher voice on every page that accompanies each thing to give the students something to go on. Like, this is what this one's about. This is what's something you can listen for. This one's kind of fun. I have two versions of this duet. 54A is written in whole tone, with whole tones. But here's the same thing again with the same shape and rhythm, but in major. And the students are asked to compare the two, describe the two. Which one would sound better if it was for music for an animated movie about robot space invaders? That can, a lot of times, kind of change students' opinions of what whole tone sounds like to them. They might start out saying, oh, it doesn't sound good. It sounds bad. Oh, but if it was a movie about robot space invaders, that'd be perfect. So this is the tone of the book, and I probably exceeded my 5 minutes just in that. I guess we'll just go to questions.
Yeah, thank you, Brad. Yeah, excellent. What a great resource. Are there any questions for Brad?
What's the range? How high do they go?
The trumpets will go up, well, about to concert C. But here's the deal. Any two instruments can play together. So if somebody's range doesn't get all the way up to that concert C, they can play the bottom part, and it's always lower. The bottom part does not cross the break for clarinets, and for a lot of the instruments, there are 8 VB options, or 8 VA in the case of the horns. So I've tried to build some of those octave displacements into the ink of the duets where it seems appropriate.
And are these up an octave for the alto saxes? Or do you have an alto sax version?
Yes, there's an alto sax, tenor sax, flute, clarinet, oboe. There are two oboe books, actually, one that coordinates with everybody else and one that is in better keys for the oboe, especially if a student has an oboe that's a little leaky, keys that use a little bit more of the left hand, a little less of the right hand. There are two French horn books, one that coordinates with everybody and one that sits in better keys for them. And because the trombones get shortchanged on their 7th position, low B, I wrote them 10 extra duets at the end where they can use the slide and to help build a little bit of ear to hand coordination.
Questions, anybody else? Just go ahead and unmute if you do.
Yeah, Brad, if you stop sharing your screen, we'll be able to see better if people have questions. And
sure.
we can always go back to sharing it again, but let's have a look. Anyone questions? Okay, Brad, thank you so much for that. What a great resource, man.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
All right, friends, next we're going to move to our friend Pete Meakin, a wonderful composer from the UK, currently living in Winnipeg. Pete, thanks for being with us, and thanks for being a member of CRI. And Pete has some music to talk about.
Hey folks, thank you for spending your afternoon with all of us. We've had a lot of fun as a group of composers, kind of working out how we're going to approach all of this. And, you know, thank you to all my fellow composers, because I think all of us were probably struggling to be creative at the start of all of this, but this project has really, really kind of got things going for me. So I'm going to share just a few of the things that I've been up to. There we go. So I've done a few works for Adaptable Ensemble. Zenith is a grade 2 piece, which, as it says there, 4 parts and optional percussion and optional piano. Kind of a running theme with me is to have optional piano. I think it takes some of the, if we can have a pianist, it takes some of the pressure off the younger players who might not have the stamina to be able to play if there's only 4 of them in the room. Forgotten Children was a piece originally for 4 parts that I scored for with electronics that I scored for wind orchestra, but I've kind of brought it back to its home of a 4-part piece with electronics, but also included a set of 4 alternative parts that take out some of the big grace note runs and etc. And so those parts are all interchangeable. Song of Hope I'm doing right now. That'll be ready in a few weeks. But Plaza Fanfare was a brand new piece I wrote for this. And the piece I'm going to play a bit for you is a piece called Taking the Fifth, which is in 4 parts. So it can be any combination of 4 instruments plus a drum set. I've also broke the drum set part down into 3 different percussion parts in case you have 3 percussionists, and that might be a little bit more entertaining for them. The title comes a little bit from a British phrase. Robert never lets me swear on his things, and that's perfectly fine. So I can't say what the British phrase would be. Taking the something means when people are kind of taking the mick out of you a little bit. But obviously taking the fifth means we wish people would shut up a bit more right now, and we can probably all think of a few people we'd like that to be the case for during this current pandemic. So I'm going to play a little bit of this piece for you, and I'll stop probably about the 3-minute mark, and if there's any questions, I'm happy obviously to take those. There we go.
Yeah, Pete, right on, man.
Thank you, man.
Pete, Darren has asked in the chat, is this the one with optional percussion?
So this piece, yeah. So this has, it's a drum set part that's required alongside the four wind and brass or strings. I've done everything for strings as well, parts. But I've also blown up the drum set into 3 different percussion parts to go alongside it. So it's not optional in this piece, but it's for 1 to 3 percussionists in total.
Wonderful. Any other questions for Pete about this piece? If you do, just go right ahead and unmute and go for it.
Bravo,
Awesome.
Pete.
Thank you so much, Pete. Bravo, man.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Fantastic. Hey, before you go, can you just drop into the chat your website so people know where they can get this music?
Yeah, of course, brother. Thank you so much for listening, everyone.
Yeah, fantastic. All right, friends, before we move to our next composer, I want to mention an initiative that's happening between CRI and the Wind Repertoire Project, with my most sincere thanks to Nick Pilato, who's the founder of the Wind Repertoire Project, and Dave Strickler, who is the senior editor. They have agreed to serve as the database for all adaptable music. Since they were already established, everyone knows about them, this seemed like the right place to do it. And one of the challenges with that, with doing adaptable music with them, was that there previously you could only search by title of composition, but they were so kind that they actually made a page specifically for adaptable music where you can search by composer. And Nick and Dave, I think you're both in the room. Would one of you like to speak about it? And I'm happy to share my screen, or you can if you want, to show people where they can, if they're a composer, where they can add their music, or
Sure.
if they're a band director or an orchestra director, where they can go to learn about it. Nick, it looks like you unmuted. Do you want to take the ball on that?
Yeah, it's essentially, it's just a repository for all the information that's going to come to us through you. And one of the biggest challenges that I think that we've always had with this is that there are still people out there who don't know about it, don't really know how to use it, or are intimidated and don't want to add information that they might have simply because I get that the software takes a little bit of a learning curve, but if you've ever added anything on Wikipedia or changed a date or changed the spelling on Wikipedia or any wiki database, you're able to do it on our page as well. So as Bob is showing you there, on our new main categories tab, we now have the Creative Repertoire Initiative, as well as the Small Band Repertoire Initiative, which is also helpful, I think, during these times. And that's going to just take you to a link that's going to explain what, basically what Bob has explained a little bit earlier on what flex pieces are, what full flex pieces are, etc. And then we're going to have a repertoire list that's going to keep growing, and it's going to be alphabetized by composer. It's not the easiest thing to search right now, and that's just a limitation of the software. Unfortunately, MediaWiki software is what it is, and it's getting better, and it gets better every year, but it's still not to the point where it can be easily searched by composer and then by composition. Maybe one day that functionality will be a reality. So you've got that list there that is going to keep getting bigger and bigger. Anybody at all can feel free to create an account. You don't have to pay for it. It's absolutely free. Create an account, and then you can go on there and add your pieces. And don't worry if you make a mistake. If you make a mistake, Dave or I will be there to clean it up. I mean, it's one of the things that we do because we understand that not everyone knows the language of MediaWiki as well as everyone else. And then we're going to start adding these category tags here to every piece that we feel is adaptable or flex, or however we'll decide what those keywords are going to be. That way, if you're looking for something that's flexible instrumentation, you've got this list here, 283 total pieces so far. If you're looking for something fully adaptable, you'll be able to find that. And we'll keep asking help from you guys, especially composers. If you know one of your pieces is like this and you see it's not on the list, man, feel free to either create an account and add the tag, or just email either myself or Dave Strickler, and we'll go ahead and add it for you. And you can get our contact information right there on the upper right of the main WinRep page. And it's the easiest, probably the easiest way to do it is for you to email. But if you're absolutely comfortable with editing any of the MediaWiki language, then you feel free to do it. And there are no unforgivable mistakes. We can always just roll back any changes that any boo-boos that you might have made. So don't worry about messing something up. You won't do it permanently.
And I don't know how other directors are, but I go to this page many, many times a month. And I want to thank you guys for creating it and for making it so usable, and for going through the trouble to make a section for us that's searchable by composer. So for all of those things, thank you so much, Nick and David and team. We really, really appreciate it. It's an incredibly valuable resource. Any questions for the guys? Okay, fantastic. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Dave. We appreciate it very, very much. Our next presenter is Steve Bryant, joining us from Austria, his summer residence in Austria. Steve, thanks for being with us.
It's great to be here. That makes it sound really pretentious. I'm out in the middle of nowhere on a farm. It's beautiful, though. And if the internet goes out, which is not that unlikely, all of this, everything I'm about to say is on the front page of my website as of today, which is stephenbryant.com. Maybe I should put that in there. How do I do it on the iPad? I don't know how to use computers. Anyway, it's my name.com, but make sure you have the N in there, because if you go to stevebryant.com, that's a realtor in Utah. That is not me. So I have one piece ready to go that's fully flexible. I adapted it. It's Dusk. If you've ever played or conducted any of my music, it's probably that piece. Oh, my screensaver started. Good. I've made two versions. One for 4 voices, which is playable by almost any grouping of 4 instruments that you might end up with in the classroom at any point. I sort of used Frank Tikeli and Brian Balmage's hybrid method there to adapt that. So there are parts in every transposition and every clef, including string parts, and including viola, adapted to the right octave. So it might sound crazy, but my thinking is that I want you to use this as an experimental playground, and not think about performance so much as exposing your students to how orchestrational differences can affect the piece. Even bad choices, I think, are really instructive. And so I'm hoping that directors will take this and use this as a framework or a skeleton to try flip parts around. If you have 3 flutes and a tuba, you can play the piece, and then you can talk about why it works or doesn't work in certain moments and that sort of thing. And then I've made a second version that is 5 voices, following the All Japan Band Association guidelines for flex music. It's a little more restrictive. There are 5 parts, and each part has a grouping of instruments that can play that part. It's still really, really flexible. And you can see what instruments are required, both those versions on my website. And they're both available now. I am going to adapt a few of my other pieces. If you are interested in any of my older works and you want to have an adaptable version, please email me. I'll move it to the top of the priority list if I think it will work. I've already got a few already listed. One of them, Coil, is already underway. Robert Langenfeld, he's a composer who presented last time, is actually adapting that for me. And so there's some others maybe coming out. I have 3 new works in the hopper. All of them have electronics. And there's more details about those on there. Hopefully at least one, maybe all 3 will be available this fall, one by September. They're all like grade 3, grade 2, 3 minutes long, except
Stephen.
The dreaded
duet.
Oh, you're back.
Oh, he's back.
You back with us, Stephen?
How much did you miss? Because I've been talking like nonstop.
No. Just like, I think probably just the last.
I'm gone.
We got almost all of that.
10 seconds.
It cut out after you said, "Hi, my name's Stephen." Right after that, we didn't get anything. But
No.
it was
barely hear
like,
you. If you can hear me.
yes, we can hear you.
Oh, okay, great. I'll wrap it up then. Like I said, the internet. All of this is on my website, so just go read that. It's everything I'm saying. I have a duet I wrote for a million different combinations of 2 instruments, and I'm making more of those as well, and it's good for high school level and above. Anyway, thank you. I'm so glad to see so many composers and arrangers and people jumping in, creating music. So welcome all of you. Thanks.
Awesome, Stephen. Thank you. Any questions for Steve? Steve, thanks for writing so much great music for WINS. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Robin.
All righty, next is Danielle Fisher. Danielle is a arranger and a fantastic teacher and horn player, joining us from down in Texas. Danielle, the floor is yours.
Hi, this has been not necessarily a COVID related project for me. So I'm gonna start like 5 years ago. I noticed that Matt Hiller is in here. He's a terrific band director in Texas. And maybe 4 or 5 years ago, he was creating really beautiful chamber ensembles for his honor band kids at his middle school. And I offered to do one for my French horns because I was teaching French horn there. And I did like scenes from Swan Lake, and it was just beautiful for 4 parts. And then that quickly turned into me doing homogeneous ensembles for all of his students for like trumpets, saxophones, flutes. And this is where this has started for me. A year later, Tyler Austin, who I also noticed is in here, with the Maryland Chamber Winds, I became the staff arranger for that ensemble. And we have an educational outreach day where we have a bunch of kids come from all over, and we never know who we're gonna have to show up to those events to work with us with the Maryland Chamber Winds group. And so he helped me take all of my little ensembles, and I'm talking like Shepherd's Hay, Holst, Second Suite, Swan Lake, Children's Chorus, Jupiter from the Planets, like all the band and orchestra, public domain stuff, really sophisticated ensembles that we thought kids would really benefit from and really love to learn the history of. Tyler and I adapted all of those so that whoever we got at those educational outreach days, if it's like a tuba and 3 French horns, which happened and it was beautiful, we would be ready to have whatever we needed for that day. I thought this was funny. I found this today. This is the old binder of all of those things that I used to use before it's online now. But that was a transformation of the quartets into these adaptable things. And then my master's thesis at the University of North Texas was taking those adaptations and then adding percussion to them, because I saw a need as a band director for like small ensembles and smaller bands who don't necessarily have like a full instrumentation or who have unique instrumentations. They wanted to play that music too, right? So I created percussion parts that are optional for all of these. So they're all in 4 parts. They all have optional percussion. They're all like 2 minutes long, maybe 2.5. They're not terribly difficult because these all started as like middle school honor band chamber pieces. And that developed into taking that to Adams State with Angela Winter and her band, and turning those into conducting pieces for her music ed students in conducting, and making sure that her band definitely did not have a full instrumentation. It was sort of a hodgepodge of things. And so these work as homogeneous ensembles with just 4 kids, or 4 horns or 4 saxophones or 4 trumpets, or 8 or 12 or 40. One of the best things was last year I did Danny Boy, and we all split off at Maryland Chamber Winds with our groups of kids that showed up. And then at the end of that, couple of hours, we came together and played it as a band, and it was beautiful. So this has been an ongoing thing for me for a long time, and not necessarily COVID related, but I feel like moving forward, as a band director, I feel really grateful to have these materials, and I am freaking out less about knowing what to do, because I'm just going to turn in towards that chamber musician part of myself and like lean into that for the next couple of years. But the whole point of this is that my stuff was just for instrumentation that, either because of money or location or just the size of the program or whatever, I thought that they really deserved to have a chance to play the standard band rep.
Danielle, do you have something to share with us?
I can, yes. I can show you, Maryland Chamber Winds recorded one of these a week ago. It's real short.
Great.
And let's see if I can screen share.
And let's be sure also to get your contact information into the chat so people will know how to buy these.
Yep. Yeah, all this is on my website.
Great.
Okay, so can you see that?
Yep, perfectly. Excellent, Danielle. Brava.
Yeah.
Brava.
So yeah, that's on my website, danielfisher.net, and I'll put that in there. And then that's part of the Little Band Big Impact. That's the series that came out of my master's thesis. So there's like a whole collection of these, and they're all on my website. One thing that I do think is really important about these is if you kind of heard like the melody passes around the whole time. It's not just like a singular melody line and accompaniment like traditional, sometimes like chamber ensemble pieces. Everybody gets to do the fun parts. So for me as a band director, I just want to make sure my kids aren't bored, right? So
great.
Yeah.
Any questions for Danielle? Wonderful. Well, we applaud you for being ahead of the curve on these, Danielle, and doing them before many other people. And they said that one sounded really great. So congratulations and brava. Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Danielle. Be sure to put your website in there in the chat so we can all see that.
Okay.
Fantastic. Before we move to our next composer, I'm going to ask my CRI colleague, Alex Shapiro, to talk about a special initiative that we, CRI, have with an organization called Composers in Schools. Alex?
Yeah. Okay, here we are. Hold on, I'm going to switch glasses because I'm going to read. In addition to speaking to you, I just want to say how wonderful this is to see everybody here. This is our second one. Some of you have been here for both. The CRI colleagues are incredible, and it is such a joy to hear all of our music together. The CRI composers, everybody else who's here. This is what it's all about. And CRI, of course, was formed to be able to inspire everybody, all of our peers, to go out there and create music for this need. And to that end, it's under the, but wait, there's more. You know, not only have we done all these things, but I want to tell you about a new relationship that we have formed with an amazing organization called Composers and Schools. And some of you know about them, but I'm just going to give you a little bit of background because this is a very cool opportunity for everybody. CRI is excited to announce that we've established a partnership with Composers and Schools to help administer composer commission projects. And Composers in Schools, for those of you who don't know, it's a nationwide organization based out of California that supports music education and the creation and performance of contemporary music. And it was founded by Lisa Oman, who's their executive director, in 2011. And since then, they've served over 5,000 students, and they've worked in 35 states, and I think they've worked with over 95 schools at this point. It's been amazing. CRI's own Omar Thomas has done a project with them a few years ago, and yours truly has done 3 projects over the years with them, big consortiums, and they've just been fantastic. The primary service is to help school music directors to successfully commission a composer. And they've established a commissioning program that's either a single school, single composer program or single composer group school consortium program. Take your pick. And because a commission project is administratively heavy, there's a lot of moving parts in it. So to make sure it's successful, Composers in Schools makes the process a lot lighter for the school and for the composer by overseeing all the administrative aspects. They take care of the contract, they oversee and take care of the payment processing. They oversee promotion and for the premiere, sometimes recording projects. I mean, it's very multifold, and they've got a great social media presence. And this allows the music people, the composer and the ensembles and the students to focus on the music. It's really affordable process for those of you who are band directors. It's very affordable for you and your ensembles. And it offers a really respectable fee for the composers, and especially for consortium-led commissions where you have more ensembles participating. So you're going to want to check out their website, which is composersinschools.com. I'll put it in the link here when I'm done speaking. But basically, their website is about to have a new creative repertoire commissions page, initiative commissions page set up, and a page for how composers can get involved. And of course, the CRI website is going to have a page devoted to the info with a link to the Composers in School website. And best of all, our very own Robert Ambrose has offered to be a consultant and a mentor and an advisor and help oversee these projects if desired. Which is a great bonus. I got to tell you, we should all be so lucky to have him involved. So he'll show up on Zooms, he'll wear party hats, I don't know, whatever. It's going to be really fun. So anyway, CRI encourages all the composers to start developing a school project. Those of you who have consortiums in the making, this is your opportunity to have somebody help with all that stuff. So I'm going to put the link in here, and pretty soon, later this week, all of this will be up on the whoopity-doo new and improved CRI website with a whole nother page devoted to this. So before I hand it back over to music stuff, any questions about this? Anybody? I'm looking at the chat here. Okay, Robert's put silly hats only from Jennifer. Absolutely. That's my motto. Anyway, thanks guys. Thanks everybody for doing this. This is just pure joy. So.
Thanks, Alex. And thanks for spearheading that initiative. There'll be lots of information about it in our Facebook group and our Facebook page and on our website. Thanks so much for that. Okay,
And
Bill Novak. Oh, sorry, Frank, were you about to say something?
the link is going on chat right now, Alex, or okay. Hey,
It's up there. Yeah.
oh, it's up there already.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there it is.
There. Yep. Okay. All good. Excellent. Our next composer is Bill Novak. He's a young composer from Arizona who's beginning to think about doing some adaptable works, and is going to talk a little bit about that. Bill, welcome.
Hi, everyone. I'm Bill Novak. Thank you so much for having me, and a special thank you to Dr. Ambrose and the CRI for organizing this. I'm truly grateful and appreciative of all you educators and composers doing cool things out there. I'm toyingly and terrifyingly thinking about not actually presenting any of my music during this particular session, as I think it would be more appropriate to share my music through email to combat technology problems. But maybe at the end of the session, I'll be brave enough to do that. So I am what I call a proto-composer. I feel like I'm just getting started. I'm also a public elementary band, choir, and general music teacher. I taught high school band and guitar for a few years as well. I have my bachelor's in music theory from the University of Arizona, and my master's is in music composition from Louisiana State University. I also got to study composition and music education with Jay Reese, who's a really great arranger. He's at the University of Miami. Dennis Enos, who's currently at the University of Oregon, and Damon Talley, who's the current director of bands at LSU. I was a teaching assistant with both the University of Arizona marching and pep bands, and with all of the LSU band programs, athletic and concert. I'm hoping eventually one day that I'll be known for my large scale wind works, which if you have a half an hour, please reach out to me. I'll send you my stuff. That being said, I'm absolutely loving where music is currently and where it's heading. And I'm totally blown away by the CRI and its educators and composers. I'm so happy to try my hand at Adaptable Repertoire with you. I try to be pretty modest or humble, but I have a couple pieces that I think you'd really enjoy, including a piece that accompanies a book of Tim Burton poetry and illustrations. So if you like Tim Burton, you can be as excited about that as I am. I do have trouble as a composer and as a person in asking for help. I've been working on it for years, I can assure you. I'm asking you guys a huge favor. Please, if you're interested in contacting me, I'm asking that you please reach out to me in the chat or via my email, which I put in the chat. I know you all are constantly bombarded with requests for help from a slew of composers and music educators and all other kinds of musicians, so I don't want to overstep my bounds or be too aggressive or overload you. I'm always very fearful of reaching out to someone who doesn't want my input, and I worry about pushing potential relationships away from me. I am, however, so very thankful for your time and understanding, though. However, I do have a considerable body of chamber works, which I could see as being really great for adaptable writing. I have a string quartet and a cello suite that actually Jack Stamp listened to and really, really liked. Not to drop names or anything, but I have a bunch of chamber works that I think would work very well as adaptable music. My music, personally, my style is largely tonal, but I'm very big on using quirky harmonies and bizarre rhythms. My favorite thing in listening to new music is being surprised by an unorthodox harmony or chord. I love lots of humor in music, and I often use it to mask great sadness or other underlying emotions in my music. I always wanted to sound like Jennifer Jolly, Omar Thomas, John Mackey, Stephen Bryant, Granger, etc. And it used to really pain me that I didn't. But over the past few years, I've come to be quite happy with my extremely weird music. I've never heard music like mine, style-wise, not quality-wise, not trying to brag. I just mean that I have a unique voice that I haven't always heard out in the musical world. As far as adaptable music, my philosophy is that each piece should be first and foremost a piece of art that just happens to be adaptable music. I want to make it easier for you and your students without being too stressful, and so I'm choosing to mostly stick to traditional notation, although I'm very happy to experiment as well, as if you would like something like that. My music can range from grade 1 to 5-ish, depending on who's identifying it. And I will make available to you all the entirety of my music for free. My one addendum to that clause is to please instead give other composers the money you would have given me. I don't want to use this as a weapon to take away from other composers or their financial practices. They're legitimate, and I don't want to undermine or undervalue their work. Their success is essential to my success. I'm mostly just looking for exposure at this point. I have a steady, poor teacher's income, so I'm fine financially. I'm rolling in the big bucks here. And it will take me about 1 to 4 weeks to transcribe a piece of mine. You request the instrumentation to fit whatever instrumental personnel you feel has been left out of your ensembles, or you can just request flex instrumentation. For me, if I was a college or high school band director and I found a ton of this awesome music available to me, but had leftover instruments and performers like a contrabassoon or whatnot, I would specifically request from the composer a contrabassoon piece or a piece for 3 piccolos and a snare drum and 6 bass trombones or whatever. I need to specifically cater to the deficiencies in otherwise excellency programming. Long story short, I do requests. And then lastly, education and growth is super important to me, probably the most important thing to me. So my main priority is not, in fact, getting performed right now. If you do play a piece of mine, I'll be thrilled to death. But I would love so much more to have your ears, your feedback, your expertise, and your advice, please. I just want to grow. Thank you so much for your time. Have a superlative week. You guys are doing so much for me. Please don't hesitate to reach out if I can help you in any way, composer-wise, educator-wise, logistics-wise. or even as a friend to help you through any of these challenging days. Have a great one.
Thank you so much, Bill. Thanks for your spirit. Thanks for your kind soul, and you're getting a lot of really great comments from some folks in the chat. I encourage you to take a peek at those. And we appreciate it very much. And so anyone who's interested in maybe giving you an idea about some things that they think you want, that you should do for Adaptable Music, should just reach out to you by email right now.
Yeah, email me. You can find me on Facebook. Put your email address in the chat. I don't want to bug anybody.
Yeah, I don't think anyone will find you to be bugging them. That's one great thing about our profession. One of many things.
I have noticed that a lot.
Together. So
yeah.
All right, Bill. Thank you so much. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, guys.
Wonderful. Our next composer is Aaron Perrine. Aaron, thanks for being with us, and thanks for jumping into the adaptable band world. What have you got?
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Rob. And I just want to say thank you to this whole CRI. This has been inspiring for me. In fact, the last one inspired me to get some of my music ready for this whole adaptable world. I've been pretty reluctant with all of this to kind of go down this road, but it's been fun here. So the piece I have a couple pieces to share. This first piece is called Life Painting, and it's a pretty new piece in general. And it was premiered just this past December by Wando High School at Midwest. And it was commissioned as a grade 2 work. I think I missed the boat a little bit on that. I think it's probably more of a grade 3. However, the ranges, the instruments all fall nicely in the grade 2 world. So it's just some of the rhythms and just some of the exposure makes it a little more difficult. But I think it's a solid grade 3. And so I'm going to go ahead and screen share, hopefully, with everybody. Okay. So here is a look at the score, and this is 5 parts, similar to Steve mentioned the Japanese model, and this pretty much follows that as well. And I'll go ahead and just play a little bit. This is Wando High School. This is the full band version, but. And the snare drum, suspended cymbals, and tam-tam are all on brushes throughout, hence the light painting. And you really only need one of them to make this work, but the more the merrier. So anyways, that gives you a little bit of an idea of this piece. It's about 3.5 minutes long, so very, very doable by a good middle school, high school. And the first 5 sales of the piece were actually small colleges. So I think it appeals to a lot of different groups out there. So it also has strings in this version too. The timpani would certainly be optional in this. I think you could get away with just, if at minimum 1 percussionist, if that's all you had. So, but as many as you have. So that is that. And that is available as of next week. I'll get it on my website. The original version's on my website already, but I'll get the Flex version up, the adaptable version up very soon. And the other piece I wanted to show everybody today is a chamber work that is also on the newer side, just kind of got finished with consortium right before the world stopped again. And so this one is written for kind of a fixed instrumentation. However, I plan to take some of the, I want to take the oboe and maybe have an optional soprano sax or clarinet to cover that part. Same thing with double bass. I'll have an optional tuba part and maybe an optional tenor saxophone, potentially on the horn or something like that. Try to have a few more options as well on this one. But this one has 2 percussion, piano. So this one's more of a grade 4 piece, but I'll just play a little bit of this one. I'll just play the MIDI version here so you can hear it with the score.
No sound.
No sound? Uh-oh.
There it is.
There,
Is it there or no? Let me jump ahead to a louder spot, and if it doesn't work, we'll stop. No worries. Okay. Okay, so that's just a little bit of that one. So I noticed last time there was some need for some harder works as well, so I thought I'd share that as well. So kind of a grade 4, 4.5 even offering. So yeah.
Excellent, Aaron.
Stop
Thank you
sharing
so
here.
much. And when did you say that one would be available?
That one's available right now. It's on my website already. Yeah, that just got done with, actually Devin Otto, I think, is here. He's one of there was a consortium for that one, and that just got done. So, and then the next one is going to be on my site next week. So I'll put that in the chat.
Wonderful. You write such colorful music, Aaron. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it. Yeah.
Any questions for Aaron before we move? Bravo, man. Great job.
Thank you,
Aaron. Okay, next we have a fantastic composer from the Fort Worth area. This is Haley Woodrow. Haley, are you with us?
I am. Yes. Thank you, Robert.
Bet. The floor is yours.
Okay, and yes, Fort Worth is in North Texas here. I've lived here my whole life. And I want to tell you about my current project. So there is a director out of Minnesota. His name is Charles Wise, that's put together a consortium. And he had a few needs that he had expressed to me after having, a couple of months with their kids needing assignments from home. So the three things that he said were really important were that they needed short. So what they found with giving the kids things to record, it was hard for them to do longer pieces, especially the younger students. So he said we need some short arrangements, maybe 60 to 90 seconds. And then, of course, like what a lot of people are doing, he said the modular thing about it being able to be played by homogeneous chamber as well as mixed chamber, but really being able, hopefully, once they get back into the classroom, to be able to go into a large ensemble setting. So this was a bit of a challenge for me as a composer, just the idea of taking my music and then make it into like 3 or 4 parts, like Dr. Kelly's template that he's given us. It bothered me at first to give like the flute line, but my band director husband reminded me that it makes a better tuba player. If they learn to play the flute line, they will be a better tuba player. And the other thing too, with my husband working at a very large program here in Texas, is there's always behavior problems whenever you're working with kids. That's a challenge to keep them from hitting each other. I know I made a lot of mute towers when I was going through the band program. I'm a trumpet player. So my husband pointed out too, I don't know if this would help other composers or not, that taking an existing piece and then making a short arrangement that has basically all the lines for all the parts might work as a great supplement to the actual composition in the long run. So that way maybe they could use it to teach all the parts, but then when they go to play the entire composition, all the students know all the parts. So hopefully it's easier to put together. And like I say, you have less of those behavior problems and things. So that's the goal. And then the third thing he said was to have it grade 1 through 3. So that's what I have. I have a consortium going. So I'm going to take you to my website page with the consortium here and let you hear just a little bit of the music in a second. I do want to say I did decide to do individual books for each instrument. So it's not a B-flat book and E-flat book. It's actual trombone book, and euphonium book, and so forth and so on. And it looks like I'll have 10 of these short arrangements. I'm going to compile those into books for the consortium through September 1st. And then after that, I'll just be selling them individually. So let me attempt to share my screen so you can see the page here. Oh, share computer. Okay, here we go. Can y'all see that? Okay, hopefully yes. So this is pretty much what I just said right there. Is in that form, and I have it set again in kind of a point by point form. So, but let me let you hear a little bit of the music. So I have, let's see, 2 of them. This is a grade 1 called Fanfare and Song. Mention about these 2 is I do have, they're not exactly extremely methodical because it is me taking my music and adapting it. So for this particular one, what worked well was to have a melody line and then 3 accompaniment lines. So depending on the piece, I might have a little bit different, like one piece is a trio. They also asked for grade 1 duets, so I'm writing a couple of grade 1 duets as well. And then some of the music is still I'm just about done arranging it, but I did want to play you the other extreme. So I have grade 1 here. So forgive me that this isn't already in the adaptable model, but this is Melting Pot, which, like I say, is about a grade 3. And one thing too I want to mention is I do have an unpitched percussion book, just one, as well as a mallet book. With the unpitched percussion book, some pieces it's a snare drum, but in this case it would be like a djembe. So here is Melting Pot, the grade 3. So that's probably enough of that, but I just wanted to give you an idea of the levels there, so I'm going to stop sharing and just thank you all for letting me have the opportunity to show you what I'm doing.
Brava, Haley, great job. Tell us about Melting Pot, and I'm sorry I didn't catch this. I think you said it. It's not yet available for Adaptable Ensemble, but you plan to make it so soon?
Well, I don't have any of the single arrangements available yet. They'll be available after September 1st. So right now, it's just an open consortium. Yes, sir.
Awesome.
And oh, I'm sorry, this is important. The music will be delivered by August 1st.
Okay. Yeah. Good. Any questions for Haley from anyone? Okay, Haley. Brava. Thank you so much. Please be sure to drop your website information into the chat if you haven't yet.
Will do. Thank you so much.
And all composers in the room, at the end of the session, we're going to give everybody an opportunity to put their contact information in the chat. So hold off for now, and you'll all get the chance right at the end. That way it's all together for people who want to save the chat and have a peek at that. All right, Haley, brava. Next we have Randall Standridge. Hey, Randall, thanks for being with us. The floor is yours. Oh, Randall, you're muted.
Easily fixed. How about that?
Perfect.
It's good. Awesome. Okay. Well, anyway, when this whole project and situation came about, the adaptable music aspect of it, I was very excited about because I'm kind of like that guy from Taken in this regards because like I have a certain set of skills. I taught small band for 12 years. I mean, the only band teaching I ever did was small band. And second, I got my start as a composer as a marching band arranger. Taking things and rearranging them is what I do on a daily basis. So anyway, the point being, I've got a little video I would like to share with y'all. I currently have 7 adaptable works that are all taken from my new library and my new company, Randall Standridge Music. And this will be just a little bit taste of each of them. The younger pieces are done as 4 on a part. You know, anybody can play anything. The older ones, just the composer and me wanted different colors, so I did use the more traditional adaptable band flex instrumentation, so we would get some specific colors. Also, you're probably going to notice that these are a little bit more percussion heavy than some of the other adaptable things, which is very unusual for me. But anyway, one thing I will say about our products, they're going to come with pre-done click tracks, so directors won't have to do that. They will also come with percussion recorded accompaniment. So just on the off chance that these cannot meet, they still will be able to perform this and really get the full symphonic effect that was intended. So without any further ado, we're going to share this video and with sound. Oh, hi. This is composer Randall Standridge, and in my spare time, when I'm not lifting weights like Mozart or rescuing small endangered animals, I spend my time writing music. For you! With the recent increase in demand for flex instrumentation pieces, I decided to revisit some of my old library and convert them to this new format. Come on, let's take a look. Thank you for checking out these pieces. They will all be available soon on my website at www.randallstandridge.com or at major distributors such as J.W. Pepper, Stanton's, Pender's, and all others. Thank you again, and don't forget, we as composers are writing this music for you. Peace, love, and music.
Awesome. You've been busy, Randall. My word.
It sounds way more impressive than it is. Let me stop sharing this. Okay, there we go. I just write fast. Like there's no other way to say it. But I really credit it as a side effect of being a marching band arranger because you're under the gun all the time, just all the time.
Thank you so much. Any questions for Randall? Awesome. And in between your incredible TikTok videos, you're still writing great music. So thanks.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I'm gonna have I was just saying, I have quite a bit more coming out. These are the 7 that are ready yet. One I'm really excited about is one of my grade 5 pieces, Stonewall 1969. I'm working on adapting, but it's not available yet. It will be, however. But my goal is to make sure there's music available at all levels.
Fantastic. And I know there is quite a need for it at the higher grade levels. So we'll look forward.
Quickly, I have a quick question for Randall, if that's okay. Are your grade 1.5 pieces, you say those are going to be coming with a percussion soundtrack?
All of them will, including the grade 2, 3, 4, and 5. All of them will come with that. There are parts written out, so if you do have a percussion situation, you can do that. But you know, realistically, given everything that's going on this fall and having been in that situation myself, I wanted to make sure directors had as many options as possible.
Great, thank you.
No problem.
Thanks for the question, Darren. Thank you so much, Randall. Great job, man. Thanks for all the fantastic music. Really appreciate it. All right, friends, we have one more composer, and then I'll make a quick presentation on behalf of Brian Ballmages, who couldn't be with us. But before that, we have Michael Doherty with us. Michael, such a pleasure to have you as a colleague in CRI, and thanks for contributing. The floor is yours, Michael.
Well, great. Thanks very much, and hello, everybody. My own experience writing works for young bands was Alligator Alley, which I wrote, must have been 16 years ago. So kind of based off that and my experience of hearing middle bands and high schools play that over the years, I came up with Made for You and Me, inspired by Woody Guthrie. I wanted to write a piece that had educational value as well as musical value as well. So it has a message which is relevant to today and something that the teacher can discuss with the students about the life of Woody Guthrie. They could even sing the song, This Land Is Your Land as well, which has a great message. Actually, the tune of This Land Is Your Land was borrowed by Woody Guthrie. It's actually an old gospel hymn called Oh Loving Brother. So the tune is not, what's copyrighted is the words, but not the tune itself. That's why I can use the tune. Okay, can we go to the instrumentation page quickly? So after conferring with Frank Kelly, Robert, and hearing what other people said, also looking at a lot of works online, I came up with this flexible instrumentation, 4 different parts. People even use electronic keyboards for bass reinforcement in Japan. So, okay, why not? In Ann Arbor, they're gonna have about 8 people in the classroom. However, it looks like Ann Arbor public schools will be online only. There will be no ensembles in the Ann Arbor public schools next year, probably. My daughter, who just informed me of that, who is in the system as a teacher. So who knows what's gonna happen. Very good, so there it is. I put performance notes. I wrote it so there's different octaves. So if it's too high for somebody, they can jump down or jump up. The instrumentation is flexible. You can have as few as 7 players. You can have as many players as you could throw in there. Let's see what else. That's it. So why don't we play it? And Made for You and Me, inspired by Woody Guthrie for Adaptable Band.
Yeah, Michael. Bravo.
Right. I had a blast writing it.
Yeah.
That's
Sounds
great.
like- yeah.
You know, counterpoint, man. Is like it's a real challenge. You know, like when Stravinsky wrote those pieces for piano for young kids or Bartok. You know, it's a real challenge to, you know, pare down your technique, try to make it sophisticated, but at the same time make it, you know, something. So one of the things I did, and Frank, I think we talked about it. The one section where I go into the rock and roll section, going do 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 do. Originally, I'd written something more complicated. And then the middle school band director at Scarlett said to me, "No, that's way too complicated." So what I did is I just each line just goes da 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 1, 2, 3, 4. So they just kept repeating that, and I just staggered it. So it sounds complicated, but the individual parts are very simple. Actually. Yeah.
You know, Michael, I love that it sounds like you, even though it's written for, you know, younger players. It's still Michael Doherty.
Well, I think I think what also would be great about it is that the feedback I got from the teachers here, there's an educational aspect to it, you know, because you know what Woody Guthrie stood for, you know, social justice and that sort of thing. So it'll be great, and the piece will be handled by Hal Leonard as a digital download. So yeah, it'll be priced at a very low price. Just I'm not trying to make any money on it. So be priced very low just to handle the administrative costs of Hal Leonard. And it should be up, I don't know, like in a month or so. I'm going to wait till after you guys, after the recording session, because I want to hear it to make sure, you know, for the final version.
Absolutely. Someone's asking the title, and I'm just saying it's Made for You and Me is the name of the piece.
Yeah, actually made for you and me, inspired by Woody Guthrie. That's the title. Yeah.
By Woody Guthrie. Got it. All right. Any questions for Michael? Wonderful. Michael, thanks for all your great contributions to the wind band world, and you've made it a better place.
It was a blast. Thank you.
Thanks.
It was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Bravo, Michael.
Okay.
Okay. Our final presentation is very brief. It's just me telling you what Brian Balmay just texted to me. As I mentioned, he's in a surfing lesson today and couldn't be with us. I hope that worked out great for him. He said, just let people know that my music is for sale now at FJH Music. And it includes his new version of Blue Ridge Reel, as well as his piece Arithmetic Number 1 for any combination of instruments. You can preview everything and buy it digitally or through a dealer. So Brian's been very active and has written a whole bunch of things. So he has a very large digital footprint. It's not difficult to find Brian or his music. So with that said, if there's any composer in the room who wants us to know about them or know about anything they've written in this realm of adaptable music, now's a great time to go ahead and throw that in the chat. Contact information, email address, website, names of pieces. If you don't have anything yet, but you're thinking of writing something and you just want to be on our radar, please go ahead and drop that in the chat. I'll leave that open for just a moment and ask my CRI colleagues if anybody has any final comments or any closing remarks. If so, Alex, the floor is yours.
Yeah, just really briefly, and Michael's wonderful piece made me think about this. Some of you are very familiar, especially the band directors, with social emotional learning, SEL. And I really, after really nice conversations with Bob Morrison and Scott Edgar, I want to encourage all of us that when appropriate, if appropriate, attach a meaning and something, a program and something that educators can hang their hat on and students can hang their hat on as they absorb these pieces, especially in an online format, which some schools like in Ann Arbor are headed toward in the fall. It really, really helps, I think, the whole teaching process via Zoom to have external materials. And that means not only a story behind the music, but the composer can provide all kinds of links and resources and encouragement for the students to do art projects, essays, videos, photos, all the multimedia aspects of that has become increasingly available to us in the wind band world. So I just wanted to make a pitch for attaching SEL principles to some of these pieces where appropriate. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, Alex. Any of my other CRI colleagues? I can see some of them, like even I see John dropping a whole bunch of pieces that he's done there. John Mackey into the chat. So
I just want to I have one quick thing.
Frank, you're muted.
Okay, hi there. Just on behalf of all the composers at CRI, and in fact, on behalf of everyone here, just want to we thank you, Robert. You have given 2 of the Directors Lounge sessions over to the CRI initiative, and we're all grateful to you. Everybody wins in this situation. So thank you, Robert.
Oh, it's my absolute pleasure. You composers are the kings and the queens of our profession, and anything we can do. Hey, Brian Ballmages just came into the room. Brian, did you survive surfing? You're muted, Brian, but I see you.
I think I survived.
Awesome, man. Hey, well, I just did a quick explanation, but while we're all here and you took all the time to come away from the ocean and come on in, anything you want to tell us about your pieces?
No, I mean, everything is, I'm sure everything that you said was spot on. My big thing is they're available. I think today's the first day that they are available at all. And so that website will house them. I will be adding, just like you probably had said. So every week you can check back there. We will be adding more pieces from a lot of diverse names too, which is something that I'm really excited about as well. So lots of things going on, and just wanted to pop in. I needed the emotional break. I told Robert I just needed to get away for a little bit, and surfing was the best way to do it. And so now I'm feeling a little recharged and ready to tackle it again. So that's it.
Awesome. Thanks, Brian, so much. Okay, well, composers, we've given you the chat there to drop in anything you want. I'm sure everyone in the room is a Zoom expert, but just in case you're not, if you want to save the chat, which I highly encourage you to do, there's lots of great information in there. Click the 3 dots down at the bottom and just scroll up to save chat, and you'll have a copy of that on your desktop. Please continue to keep visiting our Facebook group and our Facebook page. Our page is less active. Our group is very active. And composers, get in touch with Nick Pilato and the good folks at windrep.org and let them know about your pieces so they can get them posted there and continue to promote that. And Nick and Dave, just a million thanks to you guys for what you're doing for us with that. Okay, so with that, I'm going to ask my CRI colleagues to just stay in the room for just a brief moment at the end. Everybody else, enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks so much for spending some time with us. Composers, thank you for all the great music you're writing and so much hope you're giving to band directors and orchestra directors. Bravo and bravo, everybody.